So welcome everyone to the Distilled Spirits Council Ask the Expert webinar series. I am Ross Mulcairn, Director of Member Services and Business Development at the Distilled Spirits Council of the United States, better known as DISCUS for most of you here. Today's topic is leveraging awards and feedback to build a standout spirits brand with Amanda Herbert of the Tasting Alliance. We are recording this webinar, so that will be available on the events page of the DISCUS website, as well as our YouTube channel and in our member portal for all of our members logged in here. For those of you who are not aware, DISCUS is the leading voice and advocate for our members and the distilled spirits industry overall here and abroad. DISCUS provides a wealth of resources and services, including this webinar series that aims to educate and share relevant trends, ideas, resources, discussions, and opportunities. We have had several webinars this year and more coming up throughout the rest of the year. We're covering tariffs, distributor relationships, innovations with ingredients, all sorts of fun stuff. So all of those webinars can be found at distilledspirits.org/events. Be sure to tune in there to see what else we got coming up. And if you are a member of DISCUS, they will be included in the weekly Spirited Advocate newsletter, all of our upcoming webinars. So with that housekeeping taken care of, I want to welcome today's speaker, Amanda Herbert, Senior Manager of Brand Partnerships and Marketing at the Tasting Alliance. Welcome, Amanda.
Thanks, Ross. Glad to be here. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Absolutely. So Amanda and I will talk for about 35-40 minutes. We will take questions throughout. There's a Q&A feature enabled on this Teams call. It'll be at the bottom of your screen. We'll take questions during the chat, and we'll save some time at the end just for Q&A. When this webinar is over, we will send everyone a link to the recording for all those who have registered. And again, it will live on our YouTube channel and in our members portal. So Amanda, let's get started.
Awesome.
So we'll open up with what you have everyone going for us here. So tell us a little bit about yourself and sort of your background in marketing and partnerships that has shaped the way that you advise brands on using awards effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I get into that, in true marketing nature, it wouldn't be me without some slides. So I'm going to share my screen with y'all today and just walk through some things. But we'll kick off with, why I'm chatting with you. So as Ross mentioned, I lead the marketing efforts across the Tasting Alliance. We host 6 international spirits competitions every year, with the San Francisco World Spirits Competition being our largest. We also have competitions in New York, Asia, Latin America. We have a competition dedicated to ready-to-drink beverages, as well as wine. So on my day-to-day, I have the opportunity to work with over 1,000 brands each year across all different stages in their journey, all different sizes. And each year I'm chatting with them about marketing, partnerships, and brand development. But most importantly, my passion is really finding different and unique ways for brands to turn the feedback that they receive from our judges each year into actionable insights. I like to say it's nice to pay for entries, but it's even better when you can actually turn those awards into something and build true momentum for your brand. So that's a little bit about what I do and the privilege that I have in guiding brands each day on awards and recognition.
Amazing. So one of the things that I noticed you mentioned in that little brief intro was talking about brands of all sort of sizes and stages. Now, I know we all know massive brands and we all have plenty of experience with tiny brands that are just starting out. Why would you say that credibility is such a universal need across all of these spirits brands, whether we've heard of them or not?
Yeah, I like to say it's interesting. Credibility, it never sort of goes away, or the need to have credibility never goes away. I like to say it just sort of evolves no matter what stage you're in. So let me give some examples there. So maybe you're an early stage brand, just sort of getting your foot at the door. You're going to need that credibility to sort of get that initial seat at the table. The industry is huge. There are so many products out there, and having that credibility really sort of gets that first push in. But maybe you're a growing brand, you're a mid-stage brand that's finding that there are some competitors creeping up in your category. credibility is just a really nice way to stand out on those crowded shelves. And similarly too, I like to say we can't forget the brands who have been here for some time, the more established brands who have been in the industry for years upon years. You still need that credibility to remain relevant. You might have some of these early stage brands, these mid-market brands that are creeping up in your space. Credibility is important. So I like to say it really makes a difference between a yes in various situations, whether it's to the consumer or the buyer, the distributor, and a maybe later, no matter what stage you're in.
Amazing. Yeah. It's you can be a brand for a long time and everyone's heard of you, but it's important to remind people that you're still winning and you've still got the best product, even when some competitors are coming to your doorstep.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, and I'd say it's tougher now than ever. I think we're all feeling it in the space that we're in. So I'd say it's more important now than ever.
Absolutely. Now, as you said, it's more important now than ever, and everyone's trying to, you know, make their stand and get their word out. What role do awards play in sort of cutting through the noise of today's crowded spirits marketplace?
Yeah, you're going to hear me say this quite a bit today, but again, we're in a crowded space. I'd say from a consumer perspective, I mean, myself even, I'm getting bombarded day to day with so many ads, so many new products. There's influencers pitching me 20 different products. There's new trends that are creeping up in the space as well. And I would say that building this trust through any sort of validation. So again, whether it's awards, this might even be a panel of your 10 best friends who are sitting and giving you feedback if you might not have the funds at this time, but any of those the feedback that you can receive really allows you to find ways to cut through the noise. Another one too is just in terms of buyers. There's so many products on the shelves for them to choose from and to determine what should be on their shelves. So these awards are also just quick and easy ways for them to find shortcuts on, okay, these are the top products out there. This is what I need to buy, or this is what I need to sell to my consumers. And then also I like to say too, it's also a great way to receive feedback, as I mentioned, sort of in those those small panels, but it's a great way to get that feedback so that you can continuously improve your product. So maybe it's a new innovation, it's something new that you're testing. It's a nice way to just refine, continue to grow, improve, see what else is out there in the market, what other folks in your space are doing as well. So that's why I'd say it matters more than ever, but it all leads to, again, the space that we're in, more and more products, more and more folks becoming interested in trying something new, building new products, which is amazing. But it also gives us a nice opportunity to find unique ways to stand out in that space.
Absolutely. And now, obviously, feedback is important for everyone in any role, no matter what you're doing, especially here in distilled spirits. So
Yeah.
for particularly, we have a lot of craft members, many of whom are just starting out. So if you are an emerging distiller, how can you use that feedback that you're talking about from awards or from these panels to try to improve your product and, better establish yourself in the space?
Yeah, I'd say something bigger. Actually, I think I also might have something on this too, but I'd
Look at
say
you.
something here. Look, right here. I'd say in this stage, when you might not have the sales history to really prove yourself, this is a really nice way to get your name out there. Whether it is a double gold medal, you've won best in class, or you even have just sort of, you're using those tasting notes from your silver medal win to sort of get out there. It allows you to provide that legitimacy when you might not have those numbers that we all know matter a lot when you're sort of pitching yourself in those starting phases. So I would say that's one thing I'd note. Again, you might also in this phase be looking for your first distribution, your first retailer, your first e-commerce opportunity, which is also big here. These awards and having that visibility and that additional validation, or even just folks speaking about your brand, mean a lot for distribution and opening doors on that front. So I'd say that that's also big in this space as well. But also At the bare minimum, these awards in this space are a great way to just create a PR worthy moment. So something for you to talk about, whether it's posting it on social media, whether it's sending a quick note to a distributor who you've been trying to get their eye on, that you just recently won an award, just something easy to sort of give you that quick PR moment as you continue to grow and continue to get your name out there. That's something that we also really focus heavily on, is ensuring that the brands that we work with are the brands that we're pitching to our writer partners, our media partners, because we know how much value that means for an emerging brand to have those hits, whether they're searches, their SEO hits, or media hits that have their names and these accolades along with them.
Amazing. It's always tough to sort of stand out in a crowd. So it's great that you guys are working on making that available for everyone, through your partnerships as well, beyond just what everyone's doing themselves.
Yeah, and Ross, another thing too there, and that I also wanted to mention as well. I think that we're always looking for different ways, or if you're in this sort of emerging brand phase, you're always looking for ways to sort of tell your story or sort of beef up your decks, or provide more when you might not have more. And I would say that's another thing to do as well. And myself and our team, we're happy to help, is sort of telling that story and what your award means in that pitch deck on that front as well. So just ensuring that something as simple as putting that medal on that front page really stands out when you're looking for just different ways to beef as you're pitching to folks. So just something to add there.
Absolutely. Now, something that I've seen some of recently, and I know you are quite adept with, is when we're talking about that, telling that story about, using your awards to sort of grow your brand and show off what you have going on. Some of that can also be done with more specific choices, and not just a wide range of, this is who we are, but some sort of limited edition or seasonal campaign or story. Could you talk a little bit about how you've seen brands utilize those resources?
Sorry, I think I just must have stopped sharing. But yes, absolutely, I can. I would say that we like to say that in a few different ways, but maybe for an emerging brand, say you've won an award on a product and you are about to launch a limited edition SKU, a seasonal SKU, but you haven't necessarily won an award on that product. We like to also help brands, or sort of promote that you can build these awards into your brand story. So yes, it's nice to tie your award to that specific product, your small batch bourbon, but maybe you're launching a flavored vodka. You don't have an award there. How nice is it to say that, all right, X brand is an award-winning brand, which gives this new product, this limited edition product that's never been out, may not have won an award, some validity there too. Also, as well, we also like to pitch to brands too, multi-year awards mean something. So not that, okay, yes, we were an emerging brand, we started this product and it was good for 1 year, but no, this product is still standing out for 3 years or 5 years, however many years in a row, really, really builds on that brand story as well.
Absolutely. Those consistent award streaks, they really stand out when you're, walking through a trade show floor, looking at different companies' websites about the brands they've got. How would you say that you have seen more established brands, more established players in the industry utilizing, continued entries, continued competitions, especially continued awards, to show off what they've got beyond just, you're a new brand, you have to prove what you can do with your distribution by getting an award. Everyone's heard of you, but
Yep.
how do you show that you're still the top, with these consistent award streaks? What have you been seeing brands be doing there? Because
Yeah, I
obviously
think,
all of our emerging brands are going to be huge names soon. It's
yeah.
it's just a matter of time with all the awards they're going to win, right?
Yeah, but I mean, that's true. And kind of back to that first conversation of of credibility doesn't ever stop. It just evolves. And that's the reason there is because our brands are evolving. I'm going to think of even like the largest brand out there. I'm not even going to throw names, but that brand was once an emerging brand. So exactly to your point, that the trajectory just never stops, and you have to find ways to continuously stand out. So yes, so as our emerging brands continue during that journey, a few things. Obviously, we've already chatted about that sort of still best in class, so those multi-years, using this as for new product launches. But another one too is just having those fresh wins. And I think that this actually, I should say, this should come in every stage. So it certainly gets tiring as a sales rep, going from door to door, not maybe having a maybe later or a no, or having folks sort of ghosting your emails, having a fresh item to pitch or a fresh win to pitch for a sales team is like gold. So I would say, as you're looking to get product in the trade, no matter what phase you're at, here we have it as established brands, but no matter what, it's really nice to have a fresh sales win and some ammunition on that side. But then just to continue building your legacy. So we've chatted about the award streaks, but as you're going out into whether you're hosting consumer education, I think it's big in terms of pitching. Okay, my award this product is the best of the best, or has won the highest honor in the largest competition of the world, really stands strong. Also, if you're going in to get bartenders to use your product, it's really a nice way to continue to build that legacy. So I'd say that although we have this for established brands, I really do feel that this also, no matter what phase you're in, it all helps.
Yeah, I love that idea of credibility just evolves. It doesn't go away. You're working on making sure, even though you won an award, you're winning multiple, you always have a fresh win. I mean, I can tell you, Discus has been around more than 50 years, and whenever we have a fresh win and something to talk to people about, we're always using it to make sure that people are aware of what we've going on. Because even the most established brand you need something fresh and new to show off what you've got going. Now,
it also makes our jobs more fun too. If you have something exciting to talk about, something exciting to market, it makes our jobs fun too. So.
Exactly. No matter how much you love what you're talking about, it helps to have something that's slightly different to say each day.
Yep.
Now, how would you say there's I guess we've talked a lot about what people can do and what people should do. Do you have any examples of sort of what a single medal can do on just as a ripple effect down for distribution, sales, maybe future product development, a brand that sort of took this opportunity and really capitalized on it and ran with it?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a bunch, but I would say more of two brands that I've been chatting with quite a bit. I'll chat through some of these stories here. I would say Paddock Spirits is a really interesting example. I shouldn't say it's ever a bad time to get started, but they got started at a pretty inopportune time during COVID. Their brand, they were a bunch of folks who had been in the hospitality industry, so understood a little bit on how distribution works, the struggles there, but they had to obviously still pitch their brand. They were working on a pretty small budget. They didn't have their footprint yet. And one thing that we learned through COVID is that the ready to drink space severely increased. So they began to compete with quite a few large names who had already started getting in that space. So long story short, how this helped them, they ended up entering into the 2024 San Francisco ready to drink competition at the time. They won best in class ready to drink cocktails, which is really cool for an emerging brand. But the highlight here, I put 12 months, but it was actually within less than a year, they tripled in sales. And it was something that their biggest struggle that they had mentioned was really distribution. Like they'd get lucky. They had some connections there, but they were really struggling in quite a few states. But they found that just putting their medals into their pitch decks, they had sent over an email. It really helped open the doors on that front, which then quickly helped them in terms of sales. So that's a really nice one in terms of a brand that didn't have much to work with in terms of budget, but they were like, well, we're getting scrappy. We're going to just quickly put this in an email, put this in our decks, and push it out. And within a year, they saw a ton of success. So yeah, that's one there. I do also actually, I do have another for Glen Scotia, which is a bit of a different one here.
Please.
Oh, go for it.
No, I was going to say, please go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say they're more of an established brand, which also kind of gives a different perspective or sort of something to look out for. But their biggest challenge was their market. So they were in, or they are in, sorry, they are in a very competitive market. Scotch whiskey, there are a lot of major whiskey houses, as many of us know. So it was really, as they were leading into their Glen Scotia 25 launch, they were trying to find unique ways of standing out in the crowd. So this was actually back in 2021. They had entered the San Francisco World Spirits Competition, and they were named Best in Class Whiskey right ahead of the 25 launch. So a few things they unlocked there. Obviously, press. I had mentioned we had worked with Forbes. We work with Forbes, Men's Journal, Up Rocks to publicize all of our best in class wins. So they were able to take advantage of some of those hits. They also were able to unlock distribution, which was key for them for their new product. But the major highlight was they sold out. So within the first year, they sold out the Glen Scotia 2025 or 25, and they actually like to say that this was attributed to their win at San Francisco World Spirits. So that's a really nice one for a pretty major product. They were able to strengthen their reputation even further in the crowded market that they were in. So I would say an all-over win from sales to their reputation continuously growing there.
Absolutely. And a win for the Tasting Alliance if they
Yeah.
want to help credit you for them selling out their 25, although I would imagine a bulk of the heavy lifting was done by the best in class whiskey.
Yeah, so it did something there, and also to the way that they leveraged that win. They are a brand that I find a lot of, when they enter into the competition, they don't let those medals sit. We're getting emails from them to collect those physical medallions, and I find that they push those a long way. So it speaks a lot, and again, it doesn't cost, to kind of put that on your digital materials. So yeah, it's just nice way of amplifying the resources that they have.
Of course. Now, we've talked quite a bit about what to do with these awards when you've won best in class or your double golds or whatever that may be. But for those who, maybe are familiar with it or have heard of it but don't quite have the same background, or maybe someone newer to the spirits industry who's wanting to learn how they can use these things, what part of the sort of judging process at the Tasting Alliance, what are you guys doing at your competitions that has allowed these awards and these medals to become such a reliable benchmark throughout the industry?
Yeah, I like to say, or we like to say, it is the best way to get sort of true market research on your product. You're getting the real experts in whatever market you're looking to get into. And that's another thing to note too. The reason we have all of these competitions is no matter where your brand is looking to sort of open doors or sort of get into, there is a competition for you. You might be a Kentucky bourbon that is looking to get into Singapore. Really nice way to enter into the Asia World Spirits competition. So that's one thing, but let's dive into a little bit about what happens at the competitions, which is nice to see. At each competition, we have over 50 judges. They're ranging anywhere from buyers, distributors, retailers. We have PR, media, writers, the real folks who know the space. They know their categories. We have category specialists. So if you specialize in mezcal, you're specifically tasting mezcal flights. If you specifically specialize in single barrel flights, you're specifically focusing in that area. The cool thing here, each product is 100% blind tasted, which is very unique in a space where oftentimes, marketing speaks for the more than how the product tastes a lot. If you have the marketing budget and you're able to push the ads and get your product out there, oftentimes you're getting in the spaces. But it's really cool to be in a space where none of that matters. The packaging, the name doesn't matter, and you're really being evaluated on the true quality there. But also it's really neat that products are not judged in isolation. So as I mentioned, those flights, we will flight out each category to ensure that products are being benchmarked against the true best in their category. All of that culminating in our sweeps, where we determine who sort of the best of the best in each of the categories are. So yeah, as I mentioned, it's just a really nice way to get some true market research. We send you after the competition tasting notes from the judges, different things, and those are quick things that can also be used in marketing materials, to have those product notes in there as well. But that's just a little bit about how our journey works for each of those competitions and what actually happens behind the scenes.
That's amazing. It's great to hear that with that blind tasting, if you're a brand new brand, then you're not suffering because they haven't heard of you before. And even if you're an emerging brand that you're wanting to show what you've done with this win, you can say, hey, we didn't win because they've heard of us. It's not, our bottle wasn't on the table. It was just the product.
Yeah.
So it's a great way for all these brands to sort of get ahead and have a chance. Now, when someone has entered this competition and they've gone through this blind tasting and these expert judges have written all about what they've got going on and they receive their medal, they get the call up and they've won, whether it's best in class or a gold or whatever it is. What should they do next? What is the sort of first most impactful thing that they can take that medal and use it with it?
Yeah. This I share this with brands who ask. So after the competition, we get a lot of questions about this. What in the world do I do? My first piece of advice is just amplify it. Spread the word. Start spreading it. Social posts are key. PR, we find that we had mentioned already previously, brands will send out email blasts. One that I think is sometimes forgotten is if you're listed on maybe an e-commerce site, Reserve Bar, Flaviar, there's even space on those sites to get that out there, Total Wine and more. So just making sure that you're amplifying it in literally any way that you can first. Incorporate it into all your materials kind of similarly. But the big thing here, actually, I don't think we've fully touched on, but sort of contextualizing it and being able to explain that story. It's really easy to say, yes, my product won double gold, but without understanding that oftentimes folks don't know what in the world double gold means. So to say that, this X product has won double gold, making it the best product in the world, at the best competition in the world, and we have marketing materials for that, so happy to help with that. But it stands a lot better. Again, I oftentimes, it's very rare, to be honest, that I'll find a brand mention, oh, well, we've won platinum or we've won 3 years in a row. You oftentimes hear, okay, we've won double gold again, or 2025. But being able to tell that overall story of your journey with those awards is key. So if you enter into our competitions, we'll have some details about that. But if you already have entered into our competitions, we'll have our contact information there. And for some quick ways to market those wins beyond just mentioning that you won gold. So being able to tell that story, more than happy to help from a marketing front.
Amazing. That's a great resource. Now, Discus is a membership-based organization. Tasting Alliance is one of our wonderful partner members. For our members who are running their brand, what's whether they're an emerging brand or one of our more established members, what are the things coming up. I know we've got a bunch of people tuned in today. We've got a bunch of people who are going to watch this recorded webinar. Um, we've talked about what they're going to do with their awards once they've won them, but help us out. How do we get these brands to start winning these awards? What do we got coming up for our Discus members to get involved? Um, and what can you do for those who are looking to start or continue their recognition journey?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I gotta pitch it. First, visit the Tasting Alliance website. I'll have that on. Actually, I'll throw that up here in a few. But we do have two competitions that are currently open. The 2025 New York World Spirits Competition. The registration there will be closing August 1st. So that one is a quick turnaround. But the cool thing, Discus members do receive 10% discounts off of their entry fees, which in this space I know makes a difference. So we would love to see you all enter into that competition. We also have a unique opportunity taking place at our premier event of the year, Top Shelf. We're hosting our 2025 design competition. So sort of getting out of the taste, if you've put a lot of love into your packaging, your product design, your labeling, you have the coolest looking product out there. That's also a really unique space to get into as well, to get some feedback on your designs. Also, I think for that one, it's neat too. We have a similar mix of judges. So I know one thing is, how bartenders, if is your bottle easy to pour? Is it feasible behind the bar? So that could if you're doing something new and wanting to see how your design looks. The design competition's coming up, and also get 10% there. I did also want to mention, since I said it, Top Shelf 2025. That is our space where we actually recognize the best of the best from our competition. So we host an awards gala at Top Shelf taking place November 8th and 9th, where we'll announce those best in class category winners from our 2025 San Francisco competition. So if you're eager to see who is the best of the best and get the first hearing of that, or learn if one of your products is up in the running, Top Shelf is the space to do it.
Okay, that sounds like a wonderful place to be, to see all the our wonderful award winners. And I appreciate you mentioning the discount for Discus members. That is an important thing, and it is for anyone who is tuned in who has been considering Discus membership or has been thinking about it and has not yet pulled the trigger. The Tasting Alliance is one of many wonderful resources that we have. We have discounts with many of our great partners. Please do reach out to us. Myself or any of my colleagues on our thing. If you have any questions, you can also reach out to membership@distilledspirits.org. We would love to answer your questions and put you in touch with many of our great other members and partners, because there's a lot of great resources and a lot of great ways to, save some money if you're just starting out and trying to get some recognition. Now, I'd love to open it up to Q&A. I guess, actually, Amanda, is there anything that you would like to say before we have people start sending in all their questions to answer some more for us?
No, I just appreciate you all listening. And again, as we kind of go through the Q&A, I'm just more than happy to be a resource. Again, we don't want the journey to sort of end beyond sort of getting your medals, your awards. We're happy to be a resource. We actually have an advisory program as well. So I think this journey, just to wrap it up, it goes well beyond the medals, and any way that we can help out in navigating that, whether it's feedback from our competition, feedback from your 5 colleagues, whatever it may be, we're more than happy to help you in that journey.
Amazing. Now, I had a question actually that was submitted here before we started. So I know we've talked a lot about what to do with your win. You've got this medal. What's the first next step? What's the great thing that you should start off with, and how to make the most of it? As a brand is so excited with their new award winner, their first medal, what are some of the mistakes that some brands are making with this? How are they, we all learn from, success is a terrible t-shirt, as they say. So what are some mistakes that you're seeing brands do? They've won this medal and they're so excited to do with it, and, they're not getting the same return that you were hoping for.
Yeah, I would say not using it, not using the medal. And I will say, surprisingly enough, there are quite a few brands that will enter into a competition, receive that results letter and say, oh, well, I won gold. That might not have been the double gold, and sort of letting that award sit, or maybe feeling a certain way about the award that they won. One thing I like to say is that there are so many products that don't receive a medal. So receiving a medal in any competition is extremely valuable. So no matter what the medal is, use it, use it, use it, use it. And I would say that is the biggest thing that I see is a brand sort of entering, putting those dollars into this award, maybe not getting best whiskey in the world, but still getting a really awesome medal and sort of letting it sit. Even if maybe you don't feel that you want to use that medal. I think I had mentioned this previously, but I want to hone into this again. We get tasting notes, or you get tasting notes from just about any competition. So maybe you're not leveraging your medal, but at the bare minimum, leveraging some of those tasting notes to get people excited about your product, and using some of those as maybe quotes and figuring out different ways to incorporate. So I would just say overall, not using your medal no matter what you're receiving. There are always unique ways of pitching.
Absolutely. Or just, as you said, not using that feedback. When you get those tasting notes, when you get that information, even if you didn't win an award this time, it, can educate you into what you're doing next and how you can enter yourself the next year, or just market yourself as your product on its own. Because obviously, your product appeal to someone, so you just got to find that audience.
Correct.
Of course. Now, again, folks, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to submit them on the Q&A or the chat. We'd love to answer some more things for you. I know if you guys have any questions about marketing, awards, Discus, the deadlines for entering upcoming competitions, I know we can take care of all that. I do have one here, Amanda, that I know we are sort of the expert on awards, and that's what we're talking about here. But your title is sort of marketing and branding. Are you seeing any interesting trends or new habits, besides the awards path for people who are building credibility and trying to get out there in the space?
Yeah, I would say we actually, interesting enough, I would say one thing that I like to see from our competition is sort of where folks are sort of leaning into. On a front, this year we found a lot of different innovations in terms of new flavors, some new flavor innovations, new regions trying products that might historically be native to another region. We've been finding a lot of special finishing, and the reason I bring this up is that we're finding that innovation is really becoming popular. I would also say that that's probably a sign of the times and what we've chatted about, that folks are looking for, if they're going to spend their money, they're looking for something unique, whether that's taste, whether that's the type of product, whether it's trying a new trend. So we've been finding a lot of interesting, specifically in this past San Francisco World Spirits competition, a ton of new innovation testing, and unique sort of finishes. So just something there that I like to pitch as well. It's cool to see brands try new things. Even as well, there's been other brands, maybe realizing that the ready to drink space is now a hot space, or folks are looking to looking to more mindful drinking habits, and some of these brands that have been making whiskey for 50 years are now trying, non-alcoholic spirits. So one thing we like to note there is just try new things. Again, it was really cool to see the feedback from judges that we got this year on some of those new innovations. And I don't think that they're often as thought about to enter into these competitions as they're sort of emerging.
Yeah. And when you're trying something new, as you're talking about building that into the story plan, you can use that. It's amazing, the whatever you're doing that's new, whether that's a new award or just a new way that you're making your product is sort of standing out, and cutting through that noise, obviously, in this crowded media world that we live in now. And we do have a question here from Tom, that obviously, as an unbiased third party yourself, Amanda, he's asking, where does the San Francisco World Spirits competition rank in credibility next to other competitions? Obviously, all competitions are great, but how do you guys see yourselves?
Yeah, I would say by facts, we are the largest and longest standing competition. I will say the Tasting Alliance, we were founded upon the San Francisco International Wine Competition, which was our first competition out there. We just recently celebrated 70 years of the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. So we've been here for quite some time. So again, I hate to be biased, and I but genuinely we are the longest and largest standing. I'd like to say also our numbers are continuously increasing, so it's cool to see that despite the space, folks are still finding interest in competitions, but it also just speaks for our competition, which we are exceptionally grateful that brands trust the opinions that come from our competition, and the folks who we get to judge each year. So hopefully as unbiased as I can possibly be.
Absolutely. And that is great. And it's also, there's something to be said for, a lot of people here have heard of the San Francisco World Spirits Competition for a reason. But as you have said that sort of it is the longest and the most established, that does tie me into a new question that we're just getting in that I feel like we've talked a little bit about, but I understand is on a lot of people's minds, especially as they're an emerging brand considering entering a competition.
Yeah.
Says, do you see lower priced entries sometimes beating the more premium products, or is it always the more expensive brand that wins? What is the market looking like for those who are entering and may not be the most expensive, most premium element on the market? Should they still be entering and even trying?
That is a wonderful question. Actually, I should have checked. Thank you for asking this. I should have mentioned that into how the competition is run. So with our panels or our flights that we're building for our panel of judges, not only are we separating those by category, where it is relevant, we're separating them by price point as well. So you'll see over X or even the aging there. So the long story short is, yes, we oftentimes will see some of the more affordable options beating a 300 plus product. I actually and we market those too. Actually, coming next week we have a few articles coming out for the best whiskey in the world under $50, because you'd be surprised, those are the folks who are sometimes beating out the larger range. But that's the beauty of blind tasting, right? Is that all of that sort of goes by the wayside, and it really focuses on what you say your product is in terms of category, what that aging is, because judges do know that this product is aged X years or it's finished in X cask. But that is the beauty, that pricing, you really can have a leg to stand, and no matter what range in terms of pricing you are, as you would, no matter if you're an emerging brand that's just getting started out or one of the more established.
Amazing. And that's self-selected. That's sort of what you're putting in yourself. You're saying we are this level of super premium, or more of an affordable brand.
That is absolutely correct. You are inputting in your entry form price as well as alcohol percent. I should have mentioned that too. Alcohol percent is also added in. Again, it matters, and we just want to ensure that at least everybody's being judged on an even playing field there.
Yeah. So when you're putting into those flights of, comparing like for like, you're knowing more than it's just whiskey. It is, these categories within a certain breakdown, so that, because that's what we all are looking for. Everyone's making a slightly different product. Not everyone's aiming for the same goal. So
Yeah.
showing that you're the best of your group, of your class. If you want to make a $20 whiskey and someone else wants to make a $2,000 whiskey, they're not always going to be next to each other.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. And I also we guide brands through that as well for each competition. Those different classes or categories, they'll vary based on where we're at, what we see, how many entries come in. But for each competition, we have an entry booklet. So we guide brands through, okay, these are all of the options for entering your product. And then as you enter them in, you have the appropriate information there, but it just gives you a guide to see, all right, well, here's all the categories that are being judged. Where does my product fit best And then we certainly do a double check on that as well, just to make sure that everything looks good and you're placed where you should be.
Absolutely. So we've been talking for about 45 minutes now. I'm not seeing too many more questions come in. If anyone else has anything, please feel free to submit them right now. Otherwise, we'll start to wrap this up a little bit. I want to thank Amanda for her time, for stepping up here and answering all of our questions, helping out all of our members. Um, I actually, before I get too far into my thing, someone has asked for you to talk a little bit more about the top shelf competition that I heard you
Yeah.
mention, your sort of best in class organization.
Absolutely. So Top Shelf is taking place in San Francisco, home of San Francisco World Spirits Competition, November 8th and 9th. This is a 2-day event. And again, it's an opportunity for us to showcase the best of the best from our competition. So what it will entail on day one, we will have a variety of masterclass sessions hosted by brands who have won double gold in our competition. They're 50-minute educational sessions. We'll also have a display room where folks can go around, meet some of those brands as well in sort of dedicated spaces, as well as explore a selection of double gold award-winning products. And then on day two, we have a speed networking event. So maybe you're a brand looking to meet one of our various partners, Discus being one of those that will be there if you're wanting to learn more about membership. That's an awesome event that will be taking place that day too. More master classes. And then we'll be culminating that event with our awards gala. So annually, we hold back on announcing the Best in Class awards from the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. We host a black tie event to do so. So that will be taking place the night of November 9th, where we'll announce the award winners from our competition that took place in May.
Amazing. That sounds like a wonderful time. We're looking forward to seeing you all there. I know Discus is thrilled to be a part of it.
We're so excited to have you all. And if there's questions there, feel free to reach out. hello@thetastingalliance.com is the best email, and we'll be happy to just share some more information there.
Absolutely. That's what you were just catching me. I was going to say, if anyone else has any questions that we missed today, we are going to wrap this up. But yes, hello@thetastingalliance.com, membership@distilledspirits.org. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to any of my colleagues on the membership team. We are all available. We would love to help you out. If you can't reach the Tasting Alliance, reach out to us and we'll put you in touch with them. Although I know they are a very responsive and helpful organization. So you shouldn't have to go through us, but you're always welcome to, and we'd love to talk to any of you guys more. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send them to us. As we wrap up, I will remind everyone that this is part of our Ask the Expert series. Our Ask the Expert webinars come out on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern or 10 a.m. Pacific. I will say they're many Thursdays. It's, usually about every other week, but sometimes we tack them a little more. Sometimes it's a little further out, but we put them on throughout the year as we seek to expand our educational offerings for all of our members and for the spirits industry at large. So again, please be sure to check at distilledspirits.org/events for the latest for all of our upcoming events and for all of our upcoming webinars. And we look forward to seeing you at many of our future ones. I know we've got like 3 more scheduled just right now. So with that, have a great day, everybody. And you guys can all disconnect and we'll see you all around.
All right. Thanks, y'all.